Live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125. This is Joy News Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. Coming up, President Akufo-Addo weighs in on China's involvement in securing the IMF deal as we explore the dangers posed by 4 collateralized loans from China to the country's mineral resources, including cocoa, bauxite, and oil in case Ghana defaults. Also, food shortage looms in senior high schools across the country as Food Suppliers Association hints of halting supplies due to unpaid arrears. They are giving government 14 days ultimatum to settle debt, else they will picket the buffer stock company. Later, labeled as a spirit child because he has cerebral palsy and denied food for 3 days by a native doctor. That's the story of 5-month-old baby Kelvin, who is now battling for his life.
He was born with a condition known as birth asphyxia and developed seizures, what we call seizures. And the mother had been in and out of hospital, various hospitals within the municipality, and eventually came to.
Well, President Akufo-Addo has forcefully jumped to the defense of the role China played in Ghana securing the IMF deal amidst reports the global power may have played a role in the delay in accessing the $3 billion support program. This comes on the heels of a revelation by the IMF that 4 collateralized loans from China exposed the country to losing part of its mineral resources revenue. In addition to electricity sales, should there be a default. Now, the approval of Ghana's $3 billion bailout package from the IMF was predominantly contingent on China's participation in the external debt restructuring talks. My colleague Isaac Kofi will be joining us shortly after studying the report in studio, but for a chat on that and the implications of the collateralized loans. But first, let's take a listen to President Akufo-Addo.
China took a very positive, proactive role. They co-chaired the official creditor committee. It was the final hurdle that we had to overcome before being able to go to the fund. It was when the creditor committee met, I believe they co-chaired it with Paris, and I believe they met on the 11th of May, and China was extremely positive about giving the green light for the fund to look at the Ghanaian situation positively. Though I don't have any hesitations, any criticisms about the Chinese involvement in the Chinese involvement in the Ghanaian economy. By and large, has been very, very helpful. I know that it's a matter of controversy in the West about China. But for us, they have been strong friends, and in the time of this difficulty, they proved to be strong friends. So
Do you think the controversy has been overplayed then?
We were talking about competition amongst big powers for influence and for the controversy will be generated out of that fact alone. The competition is bound to stimulate a lot of controversy. So there it is. I don't think it's of particular value to go. It's a fact that we have to deal with. Well, we deal with it on the principle that our economy, our politics, our country has historically been one that has been outward looking, that has insisted on as much as possible friendship with all those who want to be friendly with Ghana. There's certain principles that have been important to us. But beyond that, we have attempted to be friendly with all countries. And China has been a strong and good friend of Ghana.
The nation has already received around $600 million, with government indicating it will be using the money to shore up the Bank of Ghana's reserves and budgetary support. There are, however, concerns about whether the program will take Ghana out of the current economic challenges. Resident Representative Dr. Alejandro Medina is confident an effective implementation can achieve this.
Program, the policies and reforms that will support the objectives. One of the main fronts is the fiscal front. Yeah. We expect a large and front-loaded fiscal consolidation. This will be done through revenue mobilization and also through making expenditure more efficient. But of course, this will be done while protecting the vulnerable, protecting the poor, because ensuring social protection is one of the key aspects of the program. And if I may, give you two examples, two key examples of what is being done by authorities in their economic program is first, in the 2023 budget, the benefits under the LEAP are being doubled, and also the school feeding program is being adjusted to counteract the effects of the inflation. But these are just a few examples of what the program is doing in these aspects.
And are these social interventions or social protection, do you think they are quite strong to help absorb the shock? Because some Ghanaians are worried that this is quite a crash fiscal program, and any program that's to correct some of these things will come with some shocks on the economy and shocks for Ghanaians.
In the context of a crisis, as Ghana is suffering, and the bold, very strong reforms that and policies that the government is taking, is extremely important to protect the vulnerable. And there are, as I mentioned before, there are key interventions that the government is doing to make sure that the shocks do not hurt the most vulnerable.
Well, Kofi J is with me in the studio to help us understand the implications of the collateralized loans on a country's natural resources. Kofi, first of all, what does the report say about these loans as around 2022?
Right, so first of all, we need to understand what the IMF has been saying about what a collateralized loan is as far as Ghana's situation is concerned. So this is from the IMF program page. You can find this page 52 of the IMF program, 44 actually. And it says that a debt is collateralized when the creditor has the right over an asset or revenue stream that will allow it, if the borrower defaults on its payment obligation, to rely on the asset or revenue stream to secure repayment of the debt. So it's very, very clear and simple what the IMF definition is. If you have a collateralized loan and you default on the payment, your creditor has access to whatever you've used as collateral. So in Ghana's situation, the same IMF documents revealed in page 52 that the fund has, Ghana has about 4 loans that it took between 2007 and 2018. And this loan sum up to $619 million US. Now, with these loans, we collateralize them against, production of bauxite, revenue stream again, oil, and then also from cocoa. There's also the side where we've collateralized electricity sales as well. So in case these 4 loans that the IMF is talking about, there's a condition. If we default, then this condition will be applied because it's been explained by the IMF itself.
Interesting. Now, we also understand that the report reviewed Ghana is owing some 4 countries, some $3.2 billion. Give us details.
Well, so it isn't only the Chinese that we are owing. So breaking this down, we have the Paris Club creditors and the non-Paris Club. So the Paris Club, the fund listed 2 countries, and Belgium is one, I think around $420 million that we are owing. There's also, we owe the United Kingdom, UK, also around the same $400 million. Then the non-Paris Club, that's where they mention China and their brother, India. So we owe China about $1.9 billion US, and India also around, some $475 million US. So if you add all these 4 loans, we are hovering around $2.3 million US.
Okay. Do we know any precedent of countries that have defaulted their loans to China, for example?
Well, so there are templates all around for us to look at. It depends on what you are using as the collateral. So if you are using assets or revenue streams, so those who use assets, we know what happened to Sri Lanka when they defaulted. We know what happened to Zimbabwe, Zambia, there's Uganda. So many templates around the globe for us to look at. In our case, these 4 loans that we are talking about, although it's been categorized under safeguards, we still feel that so far as they've been collateralized, and the condition is that if the creditor defaults, then they will have, the borrower default, the creditor will have access to whatever that has been used as collateral. The only situation where this is not applicable is when you borrow for project purposes. So if you borrow for budget support, you can't apply this. It's non-related. But if it's for projects, then the condition stays.
Okay, all right, let's see how it goes. Grateful to you. So that's my colleague, Isaac Kofi Ejay. Now, my colleague, Blessed Sogai, a short while ago, spoke to the director for the Asian Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Lloyd Amor, on this particular development, and he joins us via Zoom with details. Blessed, I know you asked him how should Ghana tread in its dealings with China, given the situation at hand. What was his response?
So citing examples from other countries such as Zambia and the others, the revered academic is raising fears that the government of Ghana, if it does not act immediately, will find itself in a very difficult situation where we may be defaulting and the terms of the collateral may then setting. That may create some challenge for us, especially in terms of the very crucial sectors that we're looking at in terms of our mineral resources. So for him, he believes that this is the opportune time for the government of Ghana to re-enter negotiations to get a clear commitment from the People's Republic of China on how they intend to deal with our external debt restructuring. That's been the position from the doctor and director of the Asian Center at the University of Ghana. He believes that that will clear every form of doubt, because for now the creditor committee has member states that have committed and giving assurances, but there's no clear timeline, no clear detail on which of the debts or debt arrangements with Ghana will be exempt or restructured. And so based on these conditions, the belief is that Ghana and its diplomatic officials would have to move in fast, deal with the Republic of China, so we're able to get some clarity.
Now, the IMF, again, report suggested that we should have lost a significant portion of our natural resource revenues should we have defaulted in the loans we took from China. What does Dr. Amor make of this particular finding?
It's a situation of worry, not just for Dr. Amor, but in fact, we've been engaging with some other stakeholders who believe that this will be the time for our governments to be more accountable on the terms of conditionalities, the kind of loans that we're going for, and what we're being offered by the international creditors. This whole conversation has brought up the need for us to scrutinize that so citizens are carried along the process once the Republic of Ghana enters into any agreement through the government of the day. And mind you, this problem is not just peculiar to this government. If you look at what's happened over the years, right from 2007 to where we are now, it appears that there's been that taste and desire by many or successive governments to deal with our mineral resources in the manner in which they are carrying it out, by collateralizing it and making sure that it's that bait that they give to the international creditors for some forex. Now it's becoming much more of a problem to us, because clearly if we default, that could create problems for us going forward. So there's the increasing call for clarity, for transparency into every form of international debt or arrangements that we go into. That's been the resounding call from these academics and other stakeholders that we've been speaking to throughout the day.
Okay, grateful to you. Now to other stories. And baby Kelvin was born 5 months ago, and after a week developed cerebral palsy with seizures. Now he was admitted at the Upper West Regional Hospital, and the condition well managed for a week before he was discharged. He was, however, labeled as a spirit child by community members and expected to survive. His parents took him to a native doctor or a medicine man for consultation and treatment at Yiziri in the Nadoli Kalio district. Baby Kelvin was neither breastfed nor given any food item except the herbal drugs given to him for 3 days. Joy News' Upper West Regional correspondent Rafiq Salam, who visited the hospital, reports that the baby came back to the facility in a worse condition, with sores dotted all over the back and buttocks. Some images in the following report may be very offensive to sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Baby Kelvin was born 5 months ago and became unwell, resulting in her mother bringing him to the Upper West Regional Hospital, where he was admitted at the pediatric unit of the hospital. According to pediatrician specialist at the Upper West Regional Hospital, Dr. Akanzo Matilda Jekele, baby Kelvin had cerebral palsy with seizures, a medical condition that they have managed at the hospital for a week before he was discharged.
He was born with a condition known as beta asphyxia and developed seizures, what we call seizures. And the mother had been in and out of hospital, various hospitals within the municipality, and eventually came to us. And we managed this child to control the seizures and discharged subsequently. So the mother brought baby back for review. For some reason, we decided to admit and manage the child further and discharged when the seizures were under control. She was adequately counseled, but went home, and pressure from family, they decided to pursue alternative care, which is the herbal treatments.
The medical condition recurred whilst at home, and baby Calvin's grandfather, who was worried about the situation, decided to consult a native doctor at their home village at Yizire in the Nodokeleo district. Sitting by the bedside of baby Calvin is his mother, Imelda Kele, who is sad and crestfallen about the turn of events.
I was told that I may have made sarcastic comments or looked down on an elderly person, and he's the one pulling the strings on the baby. The other thing is that baby Calvin may have been a spirit child, and for that matter, may not survive. I was then asked to bring the baby to my home village at Yizire for the native doctor to exorcise the ghosts and spirits on him. We were told that if he is spirited child and takes the medicine, he will die. But if he doesn't, he will be cured and will survive. They gave him the medicine, after which we left.
With beads of tears running down her cheeks, akin to the biblical story of Hagar being left in the barren desert valley by Prophet Abraham, she left baby Calvin in the care of some unknown women and the native doctor.
I was not happy leaving him with the native doctor, but upon the instruction from my husband, I have to abide by the decision.
5 days later, they were called to Yizire to take baby Calvin home. They were not charged a single penny. They, however, met him in worse condition.
He was frail, pale, and weak. His back dotted with sores. His body temperature also rose. We were told he was neither given food nor water, except medicine they gave him.
The baby that they saw when she first came here was a normal baby, a well-to-do baby, being fed.
So when we first attended to this baby was all well, without all these excoriations you see at the back. Baby was doing well, feeding, and looked generally well. This is the state that the child was brought back here after going for the herbal treatment. So this is what we call pressure sores. They occur around the bony prominences when you are left lying in one position for a long time without turning or without getting up. You develop sores on the bony prominences. So that's what has happened to this baby.
Imelda Kele, for now, is confused and regretting for her actions.
I am appealing for help in any form to cure my baby. I am told that such medical condition, if not properly handled, may lead to the baby having mental challenges in the future. So I need everybody's help.
We meet the father of baby Calvin, Paul Kele, by just a whisker at the hospital. We tried meeting and speaking to him on the issue, but was unsuccessful.
This is not the first time an incident like this has happened. According to the pediatrician specialist, Dr. Matilda, the situation is widespread, and she has this message for the public.
Once you come to assess healthcare, and it's explained to you that this is a condition that can be managed at this level. It is because we know it can be managed at this level. There is no need for going for alternative treatments where you will come back in a worse form that we cannot do much about. I think especially for children who cannot speak for themselves, I think that parents should consider medical advice before they seek for some of these things.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
So Rafik Salam has been to his home in Nadoli Kalio district of the Upper West region, and he joins us via Zoom with the latest. Rafik, what's the latest on the story?
The latest is that baby Calvin his condition was managed at the Upper West Regional Hospital, and then after some few days he was discharged, and then discharged from the hospital, and he's staying at Zongo. Do the family hails from Zang in the Nadulu district. They are based at Zongo. So baby Calvin currently is doing well, and according to doctor, pediatrician specialist, Dr. Matilda Akanzum, that he's expected to be back to the hospital for review in the next few days.
In terms of the wounds that we saw at the back and the buttocks, what's the state now? Is he recovering from those wounds?
The wounds at the back and also at the buttocks, according to the specialist, they are beginning to heal, and so they are expecting that it will be completely healed the next time that he comes around for review at the hospital.
What about the native doctor who, got baby Kelvin to pass through this very heinous treatment?
For now, we don't know his whereabouts. Brace, this is our people here are not used to giving us some information. Even when I try to quiz Imelda about the whereabouts of this native doctor, she could only tell me that she's based at Izere, and that's all. They didn't want to even disclose where this native doctor was, and I asked whether if she meets this doctor, native doctor, she will be able to identify or spot him on, and she answered in the affirmative. But they are playing their cards closer to their chest, because this it was not Imelda herself who took the baby to the native doctor, but it was done under the instruction of her father, who's based at Yezire. And so the thinking was that when I was doing the interview, they think that I might report the case to the police. And so somehow they were caught. They didn't want to even open up to tell me more about this situation. And so that's the struggles that we are going through here to get this story.
So what about the father of the lady who is the grandfather of this child? After he witnessed the baby go through this treatment, what has he been saying as well?
This was a baby that they said it's a spirit child, and then so according to them, they think that the medicine that they gave, the herbal medicine that they gave baby Kelvin, and if actually he was a spirit child, within 3 days, he's expected to die. But after 3 days, if that doesn't happen, that clearly means that he will survive the rest of his life. And so for them, when the medicine was given and then he was thrown somewhere around the village at an undisclosed location, after 3 days, when he survived, they believe that he wasn't a spirit child after all. And so for now, Imelda told us that their father is still around, but they don't want to tell us where his father actually is at the moment.
Very interesting. Grateful to you. We hope the police will take this matter up and deal with it. Now to other stories. The National Food Suppliers Association have hinted of halting supplies of foodstuff to all senior high schools under the free senior high school policy across the country. According to the association, government has failed to honor payment of outstanding arrears of 18 months, a situation that has led to the banks chasing them for their properties and assets because they are in default of loan agreement. Now, spokesperson for the National Food Suppliers Association, Kweku Ahmed-Dome, said if the arrears are not settled, then heads of schools should not expect food from them when schools resume because they are lacking credibility to access loan facilities.
The expectations of them rest with the management of the policy. In fact, they are expecting management of the policy to finance all these items or activities So I don't think they are expecting we, the suppliers, to bring the food.
You're basically telling us you're not doing that.
With what capacity? What are we going to go into the hinterland with? We are going to go with money. If we don't have the money, we need to go with credibility. And that credibility we have lost. And we have lost credibility to the point that buffer stock itself has lost credibility. Before now, you could take buffer stock's letter to a bank and the bank will loan you to go and supply or work with buffer stock. But today, buffer stock letterhead doesn't go to the bank. The banks don't recognize buffer stock as a credible letter or contract letter upon which they could give us contract or give us facility to work with buffer stock. That is how low we have sunk as suppliers, and that is how low buffer stock has sunk.
You want school children to go hungry in schools because buffer stock is not treating you well?
We haven't said that. We have helped the school children because our kids are also in school. Indeed, I have 2 kids. They are all benefiting from.
They'll go hungry.
Of course they will go hungry, but compare what we, the suppliers, are going through, the sustenance of the business. If you don't have money to go back into the market to bring the stuff, and you don't have the credibility to go and take it on credit, is it our fault that the children are not getting it?
But CEO of the National Food Buffer Stock Company, Hanan Abdul Wahab, while denying the 18-month arrears, is assuring that the debt will be settled soon.
On the 4th of this month, the Honorable Minister for Education actually wrote to Ministry of Finance for the release of an outstanding claim of 275 million and 31,542 Ghana cedis, 70 pesos, for the payment of 2022 arrears, validated, what they have validated so far. This is less than a month. On the 4th of this month was when the minister, after this press briefing, I will give you the opportunity to have a glance of this document so that you can also make a follow-up to the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Finance, whether this letter was actually written and sent to them for the release of funds. So it cannot be the case that monies have been released for them and we have not paid them. And 3 badges that they are saying cannot accumulate to, we have never had 3 badges accumulate to 275 million. In any case, the total amount of money so far that we owe suppliers for 2022 is 200,395,718 Ghana cedis, 24 pesos. So what it means is that if the 275 million Ghana cedis is cleared today, we are in a good position to clear all their money and still have a balance of 75 million Ghana cedis. So it is not true that we have received funds from the ministry.
We can now bring in Dr. Clement Park, MP for Bosa South and Deputy Ranking on the Education Committee of Parliament. Doc, grateful that you could join us here. Has this particular development come to the attention of your committee?
Well, let me say good evening to you and good evening to viewers. And today I've monitored the various commentaries on this matter with keen interest. As for the committee, we are hearing it as members individually. Now, I believe yesterday was when the suppliers decided to hold a public event to announce the fact that they had waited too long, that they had written letters to the Ghana Food Buffer Stock Company, to the Chief of Staff, to the Minister for Education, and yet nothing has happened. They say they've been owed about 18 months, and therefore given an ultimatum. So I think yesterday was the day that many of us became aware. So the committee has not been able to convene on this issue. Mind you, Parliament is currently on recess as well. But be as it may, the issue has become public, and I believe that government ought to find the money as soon as possible to pay the suppliers. As a member of parliament who has followed very keenly the tuition school policy and the challenges thereof, I would say I am not surprised. I think that this is yet another reason why we ought to look at the program again by reviewing it. But in the interim, I know that for 2022, we voted or approved 2.3 billion to finance the program. For this year, 2023, we approved 3 billion to finance the program. In the last few years, from about 2017 to present, if we were to add all the amounts that Parliament had approved, I think it works up to about 12 billion. We know the bulk of it is supposed to go towards feeding. Okay. So the question then becomes, why is it that government is not able to release the resources to the Ghana Food Buffer Stock Company to pay the suppliers so that they can continue to supply food? As it is, if nothing happens, very soon, I believe that the heads of our secondary schools would have no choice but to send our wards home. And I believe that would be very unfortunate.
Will this be a matter of concern for the committee to look at when you reconvene?
Yes, in fact, there are a number of issues that I believe should, instigate the committee to convene very quickly after we return. Remember that we are speaking about food. We also have issues to do with, at the very basic level, matters to do with the school feeding program where the caterers are also on strike. Much more recently, we are also aware of the challenges bedeviling basic schools in particular with regards of the arrears to do with capitation grant, the fact that textbooks are not yet available. So there are a lot of issues that I believe should cause the committee to convene very quickly and to invite the Minister for Education to come and give answers to all of these issues.
Grateful to you, Dr. Clement Apar, for joining us here. We can still stay a little longer on issues concerning education. School feeding caterers are still home because their payment are still in arrears. Thankfully, we've been joined by the chairperson of the school feeding caterers for Greater Accra, Juliana Kojo. Grateful, ma'am, for joining us. May we know from your end the latest on the payment of your arrears? Is there any progress?
No, there's no any progress. Good evening to your listeners.
So if there hasn't been any progress, what are the authorities saying about it, and what do you intend to do going forward?
My brother, last month, it's about a month ago, we met with the secretaries and they promised to pay the following week. So later, they said we are going to meet for another 2 weeks, which is on the 15th of this month. Last week, we asked them if the meeting is coming on. They said no. They were going for a workshop. So, we have not heard anything from them. Yes.
And what do you intend to do? What do you intend to do going forward?
I'm not feeling fine. I'm not feeling fine right now. So by next week, we will meet and take the next action.
Okay. I'm grateful to you for joining us. We hope the government could get this issue resolved in the earliest possible time. This is still Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll return with more stories. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. Now, education is grinding to a halt at Kufori, a community in the East Mamprusi municipality of Northeast region, following the collapse of the school building. The mud building that was already in a deplorable state and served as classrooms for both primary and junior high school children collapsed after a violent rainstorm swept through the community. The storm also led to the death of the boys' prefect of the junior high school, who was struck dead by lightning. Joy News in the community found that classes are now being conducted under a tree, as local authorities are yet to visit the community after more than 2 weeks since the incident occurred. The community leaders say the collapse of the school building has threatened education in the community, as teaching and learning have become ineffective whilst parents are withdrawing their children from the school to engage in other ventures. They blame the Municipal Education Director, Mary A. Aduku, for the collapse of the school block and call for her removal. The school children are, however, calling on the Education Ministry to intervene to save their future. There is more in this report by Elias Otanko.
At the Kufori Basic Primary and Junior High School in the Eastman Prissy Municipality of the Northeast Region, the time is about 10 a.m. The first lesson for the day was just about to begin when the teachers observed the clouds gathering, a clear sign of rains on its way. Quickly, the pupils are asked to go home before the rain starts. According to the teachers of the school, this has been the norm and reality in the school since the start of the rainy season. For a very long time, the lack of teachers and infrastructure, including teaching and learning materials, has led to the provision of poor quality education for the children of Kufori and its surroundings. The situation has gone from bad to worse following the collapse of the junior high school block, which was already in a dangerous condition and on the verge of splitting apart. The deplorable school block was collapsed by a violent rainstorm that hit the community on the 4th of this month. The violent storm also caused the death of the boys' prefect of the school. Speaking to Joy News, the pupils mourned the death of their school prefect as well as the collapse of the school building and plead with the Education Ministry to intervene to rebuild their school and provide teaching and learning materials.
Last month, one of the rain came and collapsed your building. But now onwards, we don't have building again. So we have to give a government message that they have to give us a fresh building for us to sit and learn well.
Last day for after I've unrolled the school, the tender strike their SP, even though it was not in school, but because they had friends, they always feel whenever they come to school and look the absence of their colleagues.
Some of the parents who are already uneducated and appreciate less the essence of education have started withdrawing their children from the school to help them with farm work and into other ventures. The leadership of the community is worried that education in the community is on the verge of a total collapse.
We have nothing to do again, but we have tried. Since 2003 up to today, we don't get any single block. And we don't know how to do. We beg, we don't know whether the government have been forget about it or we anoint us. We don't know. But we would like to beg the government. Nana Akufo-Addo said he should look at it. Everywhere, every community they are begged. You know, Nasoli, you know this is. College here, Foro is here, they beg all the schools. Why are we the Foro people? Why? What are we done to them, to Gambara people? That means if someone is this level, we don't know what we have done to them. They just cut us off.
Elias Sotanko reporting from Kufori in the Eastman Prissy Municipality for Joy News.
Now, the Ghana Bar Association is tonight urgently appealing for government intervention as the ongoing strike by members of the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana, JUSAG, continues to cripple the delivery of justice in the country. The strike action initiated by JUSAG is a response to the government's failure to address the long-standing issue of salary review and other pressing concerns of its members. The grievances of JUSAG members have reached a tipping point, leading them to abandon post. The impact has been far-reaching across the length and breadth of the country. Love FM's Nana Abuache Yadon reports from the Ashanti region.
The Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana declared an indefinite strike after the expiry of an ultimatum issued to the government to address demands for the approval of salary increase. The strike has left court users stranded at various court complexes in the Ashanti region, including the Kumasi High Court and the Court of Appeal. The Ashanti Regional Chairman of the Ghana Bar Association, Kwame Owusu-Sechere, says the government must find an immediate solution to ensure the judicial service staff return to work. He says the absence of JUSAC will negatively affect every court activity.
Yeah, I'm worried in the sense that it's affecting administration of justice in the region. If their strike is nationwide, then the nation. But this morning, for instance, we have a lot of cases that we're supposed to do. We have to file processes that has to be done so that you file it within time, because the proceedings and everything is regulated by law. When you want to file any process, there is a specific time limit within which to file. So you come here, you want to file, and it's not there. What happens to that process? And then those who are on remand, who are supposed to even be brought to court, for them to get justice by way of application for bail and others, they cannot come. So what happens is that people's rights will be affected, and it's a very serious thing that we have to find a way of resolving, so that these people can come back for us to continue with the administration of justice as far as the region is concerned.
Some court users who are left stranded want JUSAC to rescind their decision.
Today I'm very sad, and because I've traveled all the way from Sashibakwai to file papers in this court. And to my surprise, we heard the news yesterday night. It was very late, so we thought they were not going to implement it. But to our surprise, it's in full implementation that they are not going to work. And we are very sad, because looking at the duties of the court and those that the courts are serving, we are highly in need of the service of the court, because we need justice. And for us to come here to see no worker here, no court worker here, is something that we can't say anything about. But just that it has worried us, and we know we are pleading that they should give ear to their plea and let them come back to work, because in fact it's very worrisome.
I came from Obuasi Chichire. I lost my husband not long ago, and I have been coming to court almost every day. This is very disturbing. I had to come for my ruling today, but the court isn't opened to us. It's very disturbing. Government must do something about this.
Chairman of the Ashanti Regional JUSAC, Osei Kwabena Intansa, however, says the industrial action will continue if government fails to heed to their demands.
As has been mentioned earlier by our national executives, they said until the government approves the new salary and pay us from January, including the arrears, that's going to change their mind. We are following the footsteps of the national, so whatever they say is what we are going to adhere to. I don't know that there's nothing we at the local level can do.
What of persons who are here bringing their case? Some are coming for review, some are coming for redress and ruling. What of them?
It's unfortunate it has happened this way. We all don't want it this way. But look at the situation in the country now. Cost of living, everything is being increased. Our colleagues, they have their salaries being increased by 30% since January. And judicial service staff, we have not received anything of that sort. And we'll go to the same market. You can just imagine. So all that we are pleading is the government should approve our new salaries and pay us. That's what that we are fighting for. And it's also unfortunate that these people are also serving as the court users. We don't want it that way. But it has come. There's nothing that we can do.
So the JUSAC indefinite strike action over unpaid arrears takes effect today. Here at the Kumasi High Court, court users would not have access to the courtroom. Every single office here is locked and not opened for any judicial activity. For Joy News, my name is Nana Boachi Dankwayado.
In the Greater Accra region, many more people were stranded at the court complex. Many returned home disappointed. My colleague James Aveji was there and I reports.
Absolutely nothing is happening here at the court complex in Accra. Now, on a normal day, the background you see there would have been buzzing with activities, cars coming in and out, people moving in and out of the courthouse. But today, following the strike, indefinite nationwide strike that have been declared by the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana, every activity at the court have been brought to a halt. The demand of these workers is that government need to, with immediate effect, review their salaries. During their press conference yesterday, they made it known that all efforts to get government to do what they are asking for has proven futile, and so they have directed that every worker of the judicial service, from the receptionist to the court clerks to the registrars, all of them go on strike. And so for those clients who have visited the courts today, this morning, in order to either appear in court or do some paperwork in the court, have all been turned away. We can listen to some of them who have been expressing their frustration to Joy News.
I have a case in Land Court 5, and the case is supposed to come on Monday, but I just wanted to come and verify whether it will come on. Actually, I'm not aware that the judicial service is on strike. I don't know. So I came here, I didn't see any people. So I called my lawyer's office, and they said they are on strike.
The lawyer said who is on strike?
The lawyer's office, the chamber, a clerk there told me that they are not working today because they are on strike.
So which means when you came, there was nobody in the office until you call your lawyer?
Yeah, but I couldn't get anybody. I couldn't see anybody. And really, if you ask anybody to know what is telling you anything, I'm also to travel. So I'm waiting tomorrow. If I don't hear anything, then I have to travel tomorrow.
Which means that Monday you will not come here any longer?
Yeah, if by the close of Friday they are not be able to resolve that issue, then it means Monday too, there wouldn't be any work.
I'm even afraid to get inside because if the court officers are not there, you go inside, what happens? So I think they should even have somebody at the gate, either in front of the gate or at the gate of the court to turn us back or tell us something. It's frustrating. I have a garnishee order to take money for the court to give me order for the banks to come and pay us money. Without the court resuming, you cannot come. You don't even know when they are coming for you to know when you are taking even your money. You understand? We have a garnishee order. We file motion we are applying for garnishee for the banks to come and pay us money. You don't know when. You don't even know when.
Earlier when we arrived, we had access to the court premises, but later some security personnel, precisely the police, arrived in some 2 pickups and drove all of us, the media as well as the members of the general public, away with the explanation that the place is not open for the general public today. As to how long this will continue, the security personnel will continue to man the premises, we do not know. Reporting from the court complex in Accra for Joy News, my name is James Kwesi Aveji.
And that's how we wrap up the bulletin for today. But just before we take a leave of you, remember to brush your teeth before you go to bed this evening and tomorrow morning when you wake up from bed with either Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, Pepsodent Tackle, Pepsodent Herbal, or Pepsodent Triple Protection, because with Pepsodent, every smile matters. And I would want to wish Deputy Minister of Energy, Andrew Ejapa Messai, happy birthday, because today happens to be his birthday. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. Have a pleasant evening.